Hey guys, welcome back to a special episode of Rugby League Outlaws. Dan and I will be talking about the current predicament that the Sharks are in. The highs, not many. The lows, lots of them. Where do we go from? How does it turn around? Dan, give me some positivity.
Chad got hooked.
Yeah, it is positive.
The only
positive that we've got, as we've mentioned previously, 3 years too late. But
just before we get into it, Terry, I've noticed over the last few weeks in the Facebook comments that there are two types of fans when it comes to the Sharks.
Siri, how long till Chad can leave the Sharks?
And of course...
Can't you just leave Chad alone? He's doing his best.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Two extremes. It's the way it is at Cronulla at the moment. Everyone's split right down. Some are blaming the board, some are blaming the players. We're here to set the record straight tonight.
Yeah, I think if you're still blaming the board now, you can't. You had about a 2-week grace period if that's the camp that you really wanted to be in. But we're over that now. We know who the coach is. Yes, we brought an interim in. You probably would have liked to bring Fitzgibbon early or someone who's going to be in his coaching staff next year. But the board now aren't the ones out there not putting in. With no effort, no heart, missing all the tackles, playing like...
Bastards.
Yeah.
Effort's the word. Everyone knew, in seriousness, that we were never beating Penrith on Friday evening. But we wanted effort. We wanted an 18-6 game or a 24-12, not a 70-0, which is almost what we got.
Yeah, but I mean, you lose 30-6 on the weekend and you've put in and you can see where the positives are coming. But you take nothing out of that game.
You can't take anything out of that game. We joke and say Chad being hooked was the highlight. What was the highlight? We had 37 or 38% possession. Yeah. We kept losing the ball. We missed like 60 tackles legitimately. I mean, that's pretty bad.
Chad got hooked at 30-0 and we lost 48-0.
Yeah.
So, he is a problem and he stinks, but he's not the problem.
No, I'm very much sick of these, the board this, the board that. We're getting it from a lot of journalists. There was an article that came out this week saying that the players are heartbroken that Morris has not been re-signed.
Oh, boo-hoo.
It's time to move on. You guys are on 200, 300, 400 plus thousand, and we're sitting there watching you get missed tackles, arms out, swatting at the ball rather than making a tackle. Come on, guys.
Dan, can I ask you a question? If your boss got sacked, would you be heartbroken?
No. If you're watching, yes. No.
Yeah. No, but I mean, it's part of life, and you take on a job as a coach in any sport knowing that results matter.
Exactly, and it's not as though this guy had a 10-year contract.
No.
It was ending at the end of the year. Decisions are made. Okay, this year looks to be a write-off at this stage. I think the players have let it become a write-off.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
don't think 3 weeks ago it was. Now, completely. We're looking towards next year now.
Yeah, the season got written off when they put in that lackluster performance against the Dogs, and there's no turning back from that now.
There's not. That was the game we had to win to start the upper.
I mean, you can take this out of it. After 10 rounds, we probably picked that we were going to be 3-7. So if you beat South, that's where you are. We're probably not going to beat South. So with all their injuries, we're probably not going to beat them.
No, we're at about $4, which says a lot, considering that they are running out a team that got beaten 50-0 last week.
Yeah, if Morris was still there, even though that we had told him that we were going to have Craig Fitzgibbon for next season, I still think this is the same. We couldn't beat the good sides last year, and our side hasn't changed apart from Aidan Tolman.
No, exactly right. And he has fallen into the shark, unfortunately. He missed a tackle against James Fisher-Harris in the opening minutes the other night. You would never have seen from Tolman before.
I mean, lots of people have missed tackles on James Fisher-Harris because he is a wrecking ball, but you'd expect that from Aaron Woods.
Oh, spot on. Mate, I'm getting frustrated, but I have to say straight up, those that are saying we should have re-signed Morris, etc., etc., are you happy to finish 8th and get knocked out every year moving forward?
No, I'm not.
Because that's where we were headed, because the rumours are Chad Townsend was getting the player option and extended. Johnson was getting a big extension. Aaron Woods was getting extended. They're 3 players who on current form and effort don't deserve to be there. He was resigning us to another 3 years of bog average. That's why I think we've had to move on.
Yeah, and the other thing that you have to look at as well, it's the best young coach in the game.
Everyone wanted him, and we got him, and we're turning it into a negative.
Look, I do feel for Bomber. And could it have been handled better? We'll never know. We get 3 sides to the story. We get the Sharks side, the media side, John Morris' side. Somewhere in that is the truth.
Yeah, spot on.
But I think we did the right thing because if you keep Bomber on for the rest of the season, there's pre-game interviews, post-game interviews. If he makes the finals again, it's another shot at the board. You just need to get it over with now and just ignore people like Moley who want to keep throwing the barbs out. Ignore Buzz. Block him. The best thing you can do is stay off social media after a Sharks loss.
Spot on. Absolutely. Terry, mate, we're going to look positive now. Where's the next win coming from?
I mean, we could beat Souths with all the players they're missing. They got no Cam Murray. You got no Latrell Mitchell.
Campbell Graham's still out.
Campbell Graham's out.
Reynolds.
You don't know if he's going to play. 3 rep players there. A former State of Origin player. People who've won premierships and are not going to be in that team.
Legitimate cattle out.
But it's just the effort. If we turn up lackadaisical, if we warm up, you and I watched the Sharks warm up against the Bulldogs and we sensed trouble from the start. They need to come out fired up.
Especially for the people, the fans that are going up for Magic Round. If the Sharks don't turn up against a massively beaten and downtrodden side, then we might as well.
And South's confidence are down, and you have to be wary of a team that's being battered. But we've been battered as well. This game is going to come to who wants it more, and hopefully Cronulla want it more. Look, we play the Dragons the week after, and you've got the Gold Coast Titans. It's not the draw that we've had, but it's not easy either. These teams are above us on the ladder.
There's no easy games anymore. We showed that against the Bulldogs, unfortunately. For mine, the Dragons game has to be a win. Yeah. If we don't win that, then we're in a wooden spoon battle.
Yeah, we need to win 2 of the next 3 games to, resuscitate the season. Making the 8, Dan, streak's over.
Streak's over.
Second longest streak in the NRL at the moment for making the finals. No, we're not making it.
But we don't make the 8 this year, but we win a premiership in 3 years. Are you taking that?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Me too.
Absolutely. Dan, our last segment may have came across a little bit negative, so let's talk about some good times.
The good times?
No.
Okay.
Why don't we bring in a guest?
A special
guest.
To
lighten the mood, yeah. Let's welcome Gaz from Sharks.
The head of design and content, and also the guy who controls the on certain game days.
Yeah, I feel really sorry for him this year.
Well.
I really feel sorry. But welcome on board, Gaz. How are you?
Yeah, g'day, boys. Coming to you live from my office down here at Shark Park. Good to be on. Thanks for having me.
Mate, it's a pleasure to have you. How's the atmosphere in the club right now?
Yeah, look, the atmosphere down here, it's still positive. We've had a tough few weeks on and off the field, but, the feeling's still positive. We always knew it would be a pretty tough month coming up against the Storm and then going into the Panthers and the Rabbits back to back to back. So they're arguably the 3 best sides in the comp at the moment. But, we've put ourselves in some positions to beat some top sides. We just haven't put that full 80-minute performance together yet. And, when we do get it to click, we can definitely match it with those sides, as, you've seen when we do play well. So, yeah, it's been tough, but the boys are doing their homework. We've got some injured guys that will slowly start coming back. We've got some suspensions that are ending. So with those boys coming back, hopefully the wins do too.
Gaz, with Magic Round coming up, how do you think we'll fare against the Bunnies?
Yeah, Magic Round. Look, another big opportunity for us. Obviously, it's probably not a bad time to get the Bunnies with Latrell. Still got 1 game of suspension to serve. They're a bit undermanned with injuries as well. So, but look, both teams are coming off some pretty big losses. So, both sides will be looking for a bounce back game. And we've obviously just lost Jesse Ramian for anywhere between 4 and 6 weeks with a fractured eye socket. So he joins that injury list. But, Ronnie's getting there. Fafita's served his suspension now. Sione and Jackson are starting to rejoin the group after a bit of a stint in rehab. So, look, we just need to put that 80-minute performance together, as I mentioned before. We haven't really done that this year, and we don't want to lose 6 straight for the first time since the back end of 2014 either. But look, let's just see how we go. It's definitely a big opportunity, and hopefully there's a little bit of magic up there in Brisbane.
The big question, guys, what's it like being right now?
Yeah, I'm not going to lie, it can get pretty rough. There's a couple of blokes who reckon they can do literally everything better than me that, harass me every bloody time I'm on, but other than that, no, look, seriously, it's a great position to be in, I love what I do. I get to take photos, make videos, and do design work for the best rugby league club in the history of the world. So I'm in a privileged position, and I definitely have a lot of fun with it.
Well, there's an in-depth behind the scenes from
good positivity.
Yeah,
I love it. What a man.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, Gaz. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, boys. I look forward to reading your next tweets at me. See ya.
Terry, earlier tonight I spoke with CSSC President Nate, who had the following to say. Hey guys, it's great to be welcomed by our first of two special guests tonight. The CSSC Presidente himself, Nate Eisen Dutch. Dutch, good to have you on, mate. Thanks for coming
mate.
on.
Good to be here.
Now, guys, for those watching tonight that don't know about CSSC, can you just tell us a little bit about the history and what it represents?
Sure. So the CSSC stands for Cronulla Southern Supporters Club. It was started by a bunch of Sharks fans back in 2006 that were at a Tigers home game, I believe. The Tigers fans were making more noise than all the Sharks fans, so boys jumped in and said we need to do something about it. Shout out to old school members there. They all started it back in 2006, so we've been running for 15 years, which is pretty good. It was designed to obviously go to away games and provide support for the NRL team at away games. So we do our best to go to those away games and also have a section on the hill for home games.
Mate, speaking of away games, you've got a couple coming up. How do we get involved?
Sure. So our next one's not actually till the 25th of July, which is against the Bulldogs, who we usually play at Homebush.
Winnable game.
Yeah.
Supposedly.
But this time we're actually playing them at Bank West.
Oh, fantastic. That'd be fun.
4 o'clock kickoff on a Sunday. So excellent time. What it will be is we'll go from Caringbah Hotel, who are one of our sponsors. We'll start there probably around lunchtime. Get a bus out to Bank West with a few beverages.
YLBOT, magic
beverages.
Words.
Always good, a few beverages. And then a bus back to Caringbah after the game. So we'll obviously promote it in the weeks leading up. Right now there's no option to jump on, but if you become a member, then you'll be able to get all our emails and socials and that sort of thing. So
beautiful. We'll chuck a link in below as well, and we'll be retweeting as well. So Terry and I, well, at least I'll be there. Terry may be there as well. So come give us heaps of grief.
Yeah.
But the big one, mate, 2 weeks from now, Cogra, 8 o'clock Friday night, the derby.
Yeah,
it's our home game. How important is it that we outnumber these red and
huge,
white?
Mate, huge. Like obviously being a local derby, you have a lot of mates or enemies that are Dragons fans, especially for that week, mate. So it's massively important to get as many of us as we can there for that game. Being at Cogra, we're likely to be outnumbered, but we need to show support for the boys and all get there.
Mate, they may have numbers, but we're going to have noise. Where are we meeting pre-game? Because it's going to take a few beers to get nice and ready.
So pre-game, all our games for Cogra are at Cogra Clubhouse, which is near the station there. Awesome place to go for a few beers or a bit of a feed before we walk down to the game. Nice and close, mate. Never too busy. It's a great place. So
fantastic. On the night beforehand, haven't run this by him, don't care. Meet us there outside because I'm going to have 25 Rugby League Outlaws shirts. We're going to take over the hill.
Yeah, right.
So let's get us all together, get loud, have a few beers responsibly and make some noise because if we can't win on field, we're going to win off.
Yeah, definitely.
Mate, thanks so much for coming on. Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, sure, mate. We've got to also just want to mention our later game in August, 28th of August. We play the Broncos at home on a Saturday afternoon at 5:30 kickoff. We're actually going to make that a very, very special day for CSSC members.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a big day and a big night planned.
Fantastic.
Kicking off from Caringbah Hotel, and we're going to run buses from there, right, for a home game. We haven't done that all year. We haven't done that last year, so it's going to be a one-off. You have to be a CSSC member to jump on board.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So it's going to be run by us. We're going to cover the costs, everything. So it's going to be a big day and a big night.
Mate, you wouldn't want to miss that one. I'll tell you what, I'll be there again.
How good.
Watch out. Mate, well, thanks again. Guys, right. Links in the description. Meet us at Cogra. We're going to have some fun.
Absolutely.
Hey, Dan, we can turn this around. But it's going to have to come from some really astute recruitment and some tough decisions of moving players on. Let's talk about some players that we have been linked with and then some players that we would like to be linked with. So the first player, obviously, everyone knows is that we're in a two-way battle with the Brisbane Broncos for Adam Reynolds. We never should have let it get this far.
No, we shouldn't. It was a one-man race, and unfortunately, we have let it get this far. We've had to up our offer, as they said last night by the time you're watching this, to 2.45 or 2.55, something like that.
Yeah, it's 2.55. Hooper got his figures wrong when he released it. It's 2.55, 850 grand a year. I've heard we'll go even higher to get him.
Mate, he's got us over a barrel. We sort of have to get him now.
Yeah, when he met with Craig Fitzgibbon the first time and he said that he was really thrilled and he was interested, that's when we should have had him. We should have said, well, what's it going to take to get your signature on this? And even if he came out with the figure over $900,000, we should have just done it.
Do it and get it done. Because if Brisbane poach him, we're back to square one.
Yeah, if Brisbane poach him, I feel that we're then in that 3-year rebuild again.
Instead of the straight back tag. Yeah, it's a fair call. It's very, very important. We've spoken about it ad nauseum, but again, it's hard to understate it's hard to overstate just how much Adam Reynolds' signature would mean to the club in the short term.
Because that's a snowball effect. But if we don't get Adam Reynolds, we've then got to go to the New South Wales Cup and pick the two best halves out of that. Or you go internally, and there's nothing striking us internally. Like if Braden Trindle has not got himself in over Chad Townsend, then you've got to look elsewhere.
Let's hit Metcalf wants to play fullback now over Denley, which is fine. There's just the options were there. Connor Tracy's been re-signed, so perhaps Fitzgibbon sees him as an option. But for me, you got to go out and you got to get a game-breaking half.
Yeah, and look, for as good as Adam Reynolds is, he's not going to be like a Mitch Moses X factor. But what he is going to be is more like a James Maloney for us. Kick us out of trouble. Solid game plan, manage it, be the general out there on the field that we've been lacking, but as we kick us out of trouble. We get pinned down so many times because we don't have enough go forward. Just kick us out of trouble.
Exactly right. Big name. Got to get him.
We do have to get him. Now, our fan favourite, the player that we hold dear, we've interviewed him twice. We've had him on our show. Toby Rudolph. He's got me in a conundrum.
Yeah, definitely. He's talking some big money to go to the Bulldogs. I mean, we both very obviously want to keep him. But when you start talking 650,000, you're in Origin territory.
Yeah, Nathan Brown is asking for $650,000 from Parramatta, and Toby Rudolph is not Nathan Brown.
No, and we say that with the greatest respect, but we were literally talking Origin quality forward money now.
Yeah, and look, is Toby Rudolph worth $650,000 now? No. Is he going to be that in 3 years' time? You don't know. Can we afford to pay him that money now on the proviso that he might be an Origin player in 3 years' time? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a tough one. This is the big one for Fitzgibbon, especially.
Yeah, and look, he has met Fitzgibbon now face to face, and apparently Fitzgibbon does want him to stay. But again, Toby's asking, well, who are the players that are coming? Who's the assistant coach? And these are the questions. These are the questions that we should have had when Fitzgibbon was announced. That should have been his coaching staff should have been announced too.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I feel that once we had the momentum of Craig Fitzgibbon, we've now let it stop.
It's completely stopped. Yeah. We should have named Serrato straight away. Fortunately, he chose to go elsewhere. We should have had the Reynolds signing over. We were linked with Scott Drinkwater long before this happened. Maybe Fitzgibbon said, hey, maybe he's not the player for me.
Yeah.
But I was under the impression that he was going to be a Cronulla half next year. Bit of letdown, unfortunately. But, we move on, of course.
Isaac Liu from the Roosters.
Love it. He would be a priority signing for me because our forwards right now don't deserve to be called forwards.
Yeah, look, the one thing I'm torn on this signing because he's not someone who's going to go out and get you 160, 170 metres every game. If we were talking about Tokiaho, I'd be all over it. Isaac Liu's 30, turning 31. And again, it's just going to be more people dropping in the Facebook group going, we're signing Dad's Army. Isaac Liu is a solid player, he is, but if you're talking about a marquee forward, he's not the one for me.
No, not a marquee forward. He's a stopgap. Again, probably only get 3 or 4 years. But in terms of what we're talking about him replacing, Aaron Woods or Liu, I'm leaning towards the new blood at the moment.
Marty Tapau, talks have resurfaced again. The version of Marty Tapau is playing for Manly now. I'm all over it, but only on a 2-year deal.
Yeah,
and not the money that he was asking for.
No, Tapau, we flip-flop. I especially flip-flop. Every week he seems to have a real good game, then he has a below-par game. Yeah. Tapau at his best is better editing the forward on our roster right now. Yeah. I think we've got to take the punt. It's in the sort of space where we need to start taking these risks.
Yeah. Tapau for mine would be great off the bench for us.
We've got about 4 genuine bench forwards. Unfortunately, half of them are starting right now.
Let's talk about some names that haven't been signed that you and I think that could be, or some players that we could get in there to turn it around. I'm going to throw one at you right now because I can't believe this guy hasn't been snapped up, but Dale Finucane.
Fantastic player.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk around NRL circles that he now wants to come back to Sydney.
Well, if he wants to come back to Sydney, we should be rolling out the red carpet for him.
Could you play him at prop? Because don't forget we've got Cam McInnes coming in to take that lock spot. Or is he going to take the lock spot?
Well, yeah, that's to be discussed. He's an option at lock, and I think probably our best option, especially in defence, which is fantastic. You get Finucane on there, and you play him 55 minutes.
In the middle, plays. Yeah. Hey, look, he'll go and get you 140 metres and make a lot of tackles. So
impactful too, which we don't have right now.
If there's a shot at Dale Finucane, you got to go.
You got to be all over it. For me, though, mate, the player we should be chasing that I cannot believe is not linked with every club in the NRL, Nico Hines.
Where to play?
Fullback.
Yeah.
It's not even up for debate for me because the second you take Matt Moylan out of that side, Will Kennedy just becomes Will Kennedy of last season.
You giving up on Will Kennedy?
If Moylan's not re-signed for next year, yes, I would take Nico Hines over Kennedy. That said, if Kennedy's our only option, there are far worse, and I'm a big Kennedy fan.
You could
but
put
I'm a Nico Hines fan.
You could put Nico Hines at 6.
Right now, I think he'd be a best option at 6.
You could put him at centre.
Again, best option at centre.
Yeah, Nico Hines isn't going to come to us to play off the bench, so
No.
you've got to find a spot for him.
We're in the driver's seat though, because there's not too many clubs with our money that can say, "Hey, we got a fullback spot for you for the next 5 years."
Yeah.
If Cronulla want him, they shouldn't miss out on him.
Yeah,
although the Broncos.
Yeah, well, I don't think that is. I think that was just people saying that the Broncos should go and get him because they took Xavier Coates.
Well, fair enough. They've got plenty of spots for him. He could play 6 or 1 up there too.
Yeah, I'll Nico Hines for mine. I don't know if I'm ready to give up on Will Kennedy, but he is a player that you should be. Every club should be after. There's been a silent link to Blake Ferguson. How are you feeling about that?
I don't love it, to be totally honest. In terms of
Puts Ronaldo to centre.
Wingers that can catch and make you meters, though. Right now, we're not finishing a lot of opportunities either. So Ferguson probably goes straight into the wing. I don't know if he's the kind of player we need for a rebuild.
Nah, well, I mean, if you get Adam Reynolds and you're in a win now, Ferguson probably could do a job for you. You're talking about metres off kick returns. Him and Sione Katoa would be fantastic bringing that ball back.
I do prefer Ronaldo in the centres, as you mentioned, absolutely.
It brings Ronnie in the centres, but defensively there's question marks for him. Look, I'm not thrilled about him coming to Cronulla, but I wouldn't hate it.
I've eased on it. If you'd asked me 3 years ago, no chance in the world. But we're in a situation, beggars can't be choosers.
Yeah,
either.
don't forget he's also got the link with Fitzgibbon. Him and Fitzgibbon are very close.
That's true. I'd like to see some of these young kids, the Reece Walshes, the Currans, the Walkers. They're the kinds of players I want to be linked to. Obviously not those 3. They've just all re-signed. Although Walker is technically off contract.
Yeah, I don't think Uncle Nick's going to let him walk to the Sharks as well as Fitzgibbon.
But they're the kind of players we should be targeting.
So let's talk about on hypothetical. We get Adam Reynolds. Who's your ideal halves partner for him?
Well, Johnson, but Johnson's attitude has to do a complete 180.
I'm off Sean Johnson.
I think that if you say you got this new coach, here's your contract that you wanted, not to the reported numbers. So here's a superstar halves partner, and here's what we're going to do in the next 3 years. I think he's a better player than what he's shown over the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I don't know. There's something about Sean Johnson that's just not screaming he wants to be a Shark anymore.
No, his attitude is terrible, and that's coming from in and outside the club.
So Johnson gone, Moylan gone. Who's your halves partner for Adam Reynolds?
Well, Connor Tracy's the only player on our current roster that would fit into that situation.
Or Luke Metcalf.
Well, Metcalf's a young freak. I would have expected him to be promoted into one of the 2 spots we've got to go, to be honest. Otherwise you're looking at a stopgap. You're looking at an Anthony Milford. I never thought I'd say those words. Or a Blake Austin or an Aiden Caesar. Yeah. I'd be definitely looking to England.
Yeah, Aiden Caesar's one for mine that's really interesting because if you get Adam Reynolds and you get Aiden Caesar, you've got a right foot and a left foot kicker.
Huge. So you got two halves that can kick, which is something
and 2 halves that can kick long range field goals as well.
That'd be nice. Those games.
2 halves that don't defend very well, so would be used to that.
That's true.
But yeah, it's the one name I want to avoid is Gareth Widdop.
Yeah, he looks like he's struggling. And again, we can't be signing these big money players at the back end of the season, back end of their careers.
Yeah, and after last weekend, I'm off Corey Norman.
Yeah, fair call too.
I don't want that.
That's no. We need to find diamonds in the rough. We need to look at our premiership winning team. We need a Val Holmes and we need a Jack Bird.
We need to go to the Penrith New South Wales Cup team, who would probably beat our first grade side.
Well, their under-20s beat the Jets on the weekend.
Yeah, and guys from St Mary's played for
Ron Massey Cup.
Yeah, it's
so there's plenty of players out there, but we got to look past the he's a big name. He played Origin 5 years ago. Let's give him big money, as we've been doing recently.
Thanks for tuning into this special episode on Rugby League Outlaws. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Puncture Media. Yeah, you can probably trash us in the comments on this one. I feel that we deserve it.
Please, mate. We got some Sharks merch, some exclusive Sharks merch. Follow the Twitter to find out how you can win some, and also an exclusive reveal.
Yeah, and as always,
Rugby League, baby.